Okay, I think we are live.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Appreciate y'all for making time to be here. I'll call this meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. All right. First, we're going to go over our agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Let's go, Felicia.
I need to rework my bylaw change, so can we please strike it for this week?
Of course. Lucy?
Can we please strike capital contingency?
Yep. Eva?
Can we please strike bag and grows?
Yep. Sujana?
Can we please strike ASRF and TGMF?
Mm-hmm. Sarah?
Can I please strike BOD?
Yep. And then I'll be adding an executive session tonight in regards to finances. All right.
Are there
That'll be our
any
last.
action
Oh, and
items?
Sujana?
That's an old hand, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Do you want this to be an action item for executive session?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have to make it. Well, do we need it to be an executive? Yeah, I think we do have to vote to go into executive session. So yeah. So can I have a motion for our executive session?
I motion to go into executive session or to add executive session as a voting item.
Second.
Megan motions, the last seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 9-0 vote, that is approved. Thank you. All right. If there are no other amendments, let's go ahead and get a motion to approve our agenda for tonight.
I motion to approve the agenda for May 14th, 2024.
Second.
Megan motions, the last seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 9-0 vote, that is approved. All right. So we will have minutes next time to approve, and we'll review those once receiving that. So we're going to go ahead and skip over that on the agenda. And then we're going to go ahead and move to public comment. So do you remember our community guidelines? Challenge ideas, not individuals. Gender inclusive and respectful language. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from accountability. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes and the opportunity to speak once. And do remember, no dehumanizing language. With that, let's go ahead and start public comment. Please raise your hands and we will call on you if you were here for public comment. Opening that up at 7:09 p.m. All right, and we'll go ahead and start with our first person. Last name is Kelly, and then you can tell me how to pronounce your first name.
Hi, my name is Avalon Kelly, and I'm representing UCLA CalPERG tonight. We just have 3 quick updates for this week. First, our lead campaign next year is going to be a forest campaign, working to save old growth trees from being cut down. Next, 8 of our CalPERG members went to California's Ocean Day last week in Sacramento on Tuesday to advocate on bills pushing for cleaner and more accessible oceans. And there we had a press conference with speeches from Senator Ben Allen, Senator Catherine Blakespear, and more. So that was super exciting. And the last thing I want to touch on is that we worked with the LA County Board of Supervisors to introduce a resolution of our plastic bag ban bill, and it was introduced last week. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Amazing work. Thank you, Evelyn. Anyone else here for public comment? Going once, going twice. Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and close public comment at 7:10 p.m. All right. Moving back to our agenda, we'll go ahead into funding. So starting with contingency programming, Lucy.
Yeah, I'll paste in the chat real quick. But this week we had a total contingency programming request of $46,742, and we recommend an allocation for 46 non-USAC entity and one USAC entity related events. Happy to answer any questions. All of this information is also on the spring authorization funding sheet.
Thank you, Lucy. Any questions from council members? If not, can we get a motion?
I motion to approve the contingency programming allocation of $16,311.33 for 46 non-USAC entities and one USAC entity related events.
I second.
Megan motions, Elias seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 10 to 0 to 0 vote, that is approved. Thank you. Moving to SFS allocations. Oh, will we have to come back to that?
No,
Because- Oh.
Sorry, I'm helping out. Yes. So the total requested amount was $7,092.64, and the total allocated amount was $3,289. $3,289 to one USAC and 5 non-USAC entities. So
Okay. Thank you. Is there any opposition? All right, then that is approved. Appreciate it. Moving to SWC programming fund allocations. Janice?
Yes, hi everybody. This week the SWC Programming Fund didn't receive any requests from USAC entities, and then $2,200 to $2,227.72 from 4 non-USAC entities. Sorry, and I'm dropping it in the chat. And we're recommending an allocation of $117.48 to the 5 non-USAC entities.
Thank you. Any opposition there? All right, then that's approved. Moving forward, we're going to jump down to ARC allocations. Alicia?
Hello. This week, it's $6,700 to 4 non-USAC entities, and I'll put in the chat.
Perfect. Is there any opposition? Okay, that's approved. And then last but not least, TGIF.
Hello. The Green Initiative Fund allocated $10,509.70 to 3 non-USAC entities this week.
Perfect. All right. Now let's go ahead into special presentations. We have election board updates.
There are no election board updates, just vote. Please post and advertise voting. And it will be announced at Kirkhoff at 8 p.m. this Friday.
Thank you. And now let's go to the transportation program update.
I will promote all of them right now. And then
Hi, can you please also add Ray Manguso?
I don't think I see them in the attendees.
Okay, let me go walk over to his office real quick. It'll take
Okay.
1 second.
Okay.
He should be joining in just 1 second.
Okay, I see.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties between being an attendee and being a panelist. So, my name is Ray Manguso. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm the director of commuter and parking services, and I'm here today to share an overview of what commuter, parking, and the rest of transportation's organizational priorities are in the coming fiscal year. And I'm also going to give a financial overview of the UCLA Transportation, our department, and the funding that's required to sustain those organizational priorities and the expected fee increases coming this fiscal year. So with that said, let's go on to the next slide. Thank you, Jonah. So first, I want to provide the context that we see approximately 86,000 people on campus each business day of the week. These folks include staff, faculty, students, and patients at the medical center and their families. We also have a conference and event attendees, distinguished guests, and athletic event attendees. This daily population is actually, believe it or not, slightly higher than the population we recorded pre-COVID. Next slide, please. And so here's an actual breakdown of our annual average daily trips versus our vehicle trips per person. So essentially, this compares the number of individuals on campus to the number of vehicles on campus. And as you can see, we're shooting for a ratio of around 1.0, where the number of vehicles on campus is approximately equivalent to the number of individuals on campus. And we've worked heavily toward that goal over the past few decades. COVID certainly helped with the remote instruction on campus, but we obviously hoping to keep that trend going in the right direction post-pandemic and as instruction goes on throughout the years. So next slide, please. All right, so in our 2023 survey of commuting mode split, we've actually seen that approximately 40% of staff drive alone to campus, while approximately 29.5% telecommute regularly, and the remaining 30.5% practice sustainable commuting. Next slide, please. And with students, we actually see that about a third of students walk, thank you to the Hill and the students that live there. While about 25.25% of folks take public transit to campus, and only about a fifth of students drive alone, and the remainder practice sustainable transportation in addition to public transit, such as carpooling, zero emission, ride hailing, micromobility like with Lyft and Uber scooters, as well as attending class remotely if it's available. So we were happy to see that only about 19% are driving alone, and the rest are able to do some alternate form of commuting or learning remotely. So next slide, please. All right, so how does UCLA and our department facilitate access to and from campus to achieve the goals that I just outlined? Well, we do it a couple of ways. Prime example is through our campus traffic systems unit, which is responsible for roadway infrastructure, traffic signal and signage enhancement, traffic safety, and to support shared use of all commuters on our campus roadways. We also do it through general parking management, and part of which includes reduced fee carpool permits to encourage non-single occupancy vehicle commuting. We also see discounted daily parking for students who work or who study remote or hybrid, and those who don't really need or see the value in having a full cost monthly parking permit. And as I mentioned earlier, we also advocate heavily for public transit options to and from campus, and we also practice fare subsidization for students and for staff. The most well-known programs are the Bruin Grad Pass and the U Pass, and those are, in addition to being self-taxed from votes from USAC and the undergrad from the grad program, they're also subsidized through parking revenue. So we also do it through bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, as well as mobility through Bruin Bus Transit. And all that is, again, funded through parking revenues, and we encourage the use of alternative transportation where possible. Finally, we have regular, frequent education incentive programs for transportation options outside of single occupancy parking. So next slide, please. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, we have a unit dedicated to transportation planning and advocacy, and that's our mobility planning traffic systems unit. We ensure that local agency leaders like Metro, Big Blue Bus, Culver City, City of LA, County of LA, everyone who's a policymaker in the region actually plans their policies with UCLA students and staff needs in mind. And we advocate for the sustainable transportation programs and help facilitate some of those taxpayer dollars or federal funds to come our way and to help fund a lot of these programs in mind. So with that said, a lot of our recent projects includes bike lane additions on Westwood Plaza and even south of Westwood. We're also planning for Sepulveda Corridor transit project, so a north-south transit line that runs from the San Fernando Valley all the way to UCLA. We're hoping to, it's a long project through Metro, so we're hoping to get some advocacy through 2030, but they're listening, and Metro's even having a meeting tomorrow evening rather, to get stakeholders to the table and hear their input on the different options for that north-south corridor. We're also advocating for a Torrance transit route to UCLA, so some of our South Bay staff and students can experience transit and not have to brace the 405. And of course, the big project that's looming on the horizon is the Purple Line or the D Line. That's supposed to be coming to Lot 36 at Wilshire and Westwood by 2028, just before the Olympics. And so obviously we've been planning for that for a good 10 to 15 years, and we're happy to see that finally near fruition coming on the horizon. So next slide, please. All right, so here's a graphic on how our department regularly advocates for mobility and access. That's through infrastructure, through policy, and through programs. All of that is designed with the common goal of reducing impacts to our environment and to the campus traffic in general. So as you can see in infrastructure, we have bicycle lanes, traffic calming, such as speed humps and speed bumps, scooter parking and deployment areas. So all those scooter efforts that on campus, such as the parking areas and the nesting areas, and having contractors move them to proper locations. Shared use pathways and LPR technology is all part of infrastructure for mobility. And through policy and programs such as greenhouse gas reduction efforts, intercampus vehicle trips limited, and encourage daily mode choice, such as daily commute. And anyone who's paid for a parking permit through our Bruni permit portal has seen that, hey, maybe you don't need a monthly permit and you just need daily, if you're on campus for 1 to 2 times a week, that might be the better option for you. So we're doing the three modes here of trying to advocate for mobility and access. Next slide, please. All right, so next we have just a brief overview of our parking system and everything that we're working with. We have roughly 22,300 parking spaces between 50 different facilities. Approximately 8.3% of those stalls are dedicated patient parking at the health center. About 7.7% are pay on entry visitor stalls, and the remaining 84% are mixed use stalls. And by mixed use, I mean it's used between permit holders, events, pay stations, or just kind of a general mix thereof. With that said, about 21% of our spaces are used for daily or transient visitors, while about 79% of our space is used by our permit holders. Roughly 49% of our budget revenues come from our daily visitor population, while about 51% of said revenue comes from permit holders. Good 50-50 split, roughly. We're experiencing steady declines in both groups. Ride-hailing, increased micromobility is decreasing the need for transit and event parking, while hybrid and remote work has reduced parking demand among our permit holders, and so has remote learning. So next slide, please. All right, so just a small summary of how our department operates. We're completely self-supported, and per system-wide practice and policy, we actually receive no state funding, and transportation receives no tuition dollars or any outside revenue or support thereof. So as a result, any money or any revenue that comes in via parking fees only support transportation and alternate commuting methods. We manage our financials over a 10-year horizon. And so what that means is we plan regularly every year, 10 years out. We've just completed our 2034 projection, for example. And our entire goal is to maintain sufficient reserves to basically brace for unexpected pressures. COVID was a great example of that, right? We had less than a third of the daily campus population show up to campus. Many people canceled their permits. Rather than increase our fees by 10, 20, 30% in order to brace for that, we actually didn't, we actually only increased by 3%, just like the annual nominal rate that we have been practicing. And we actually pat ourselves on the back for being able to do that, because we don't have to have these large swings, these large fluctuations, to really, show that the campus population doesn't have to brace for unexpected impacts like that. And so we also obviously continuously evaluate our operations and programs, make sure that we're actually spending the money wisely, and we're trying to reduce as many on-campus vehicle trips as possible, while at the same time making sure that all dollars are being spent appropriately. And of course, we're looking at the comparable market parking rates. A lot of that has to do with other metro areas in California, such as Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, and medical parking facilities such as others in the LA region, like Cedars-Sinai and USC. Slide, please. All right, so all that said, we have a summary sheet of our expected revenues and necessary costs to support our operations, our initiatives, and our priorities. So our total revenues among all transportation units are projected to be about $57.5 million, while our net revenues after associated costs of operations, transit pass subsidies, micromobility subsidies, campus transit operations, mobility planning, and campus ground rent are projected to be about $10.3 million. And so from there, and after paying our transportation system support, contributing to a major maintenance and repair fund, as well as paying our annual debt service, we actually plan to dip in and utilize some of our existing revenue and in our reserves by the tune of approximately $2.8 million, as you see on bottom right hand there. Next slide, please. And here's a good general breakdown of our parking expenses. So the largest chunk, as you can see, about 37.5% is in operating expenses. These are both direct and indirect, such as vendor fees and licensing and just fuel, keeping the lights on, if you will. Just under 8% is compensation, so career, casual, and benefits. We also pay about 10.5% of, we call it ground rent, to the chancellor's office as a discretionary fund. Parking subsidies, that's about 18%. So that's in the form of what I described earlier: transit operations, traffic systems, the Bruin Grad Pass, the U Pass, Bruin Bus, bicycle subsidies, and the like. A little over 12% is to major maintenance, so ADA enhancements, wheelchair ramps, making sure that elevators are functioning as they should with the proper service level expectations, and not repairing, but rather ensuring that our older parking facilities are still going to last us in the coming decades. Making sure that parking structures, like any other building, have a defined lifespan. So we're making sure that we don't basically experience any failures unexpectedly. A little over 9% is spent on annual debt service, so bonds and loans that have been taken out over the years. And again, about 4.5% of next year's revenue is going to be used for taken out of our reserve funding. Next slide, please. All right, so in order to make all that work, we're moving forward with a modest 3.3% fee increase to our yellow permits and our blue permit monthly rates, and similar increases with other permits across the board. The daily fee for non-affiliated visitors is expected to rise about 91 cents per day, and out of pocket, that's a total of $16. And that's inclusive of a City of Los Angeles parking occupancy tax that was enacted January of last year. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned before, we regularly conduct comparative analyses with other metro-based universities and their parking rates. And here's a helpful breakdown of other universities similar to UCLA. It's helpful to note that even with the proposed increase, we will remain at or below costs in most categories. Next slide, please. And finally, a local market comparison involving Westwood Village and other regional medical facilities. Westwood Village remains at somewhere between $160 to $370, but about $250 per month on average, and an average all-day fee of $27. Meanwhile, average regional medical rates are about $17 on average and about $170 for staff and visitors per month. And next slide, please. And thank you, everybody, for your time today. And I'm happy to answer questions if there are any.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from council members? Can you go back to the comparison slide with the prices and the increase? Oh, the one before that. So sorry. Okay. So I remember us receiving a presentation to this very similarly last year.
Yeah.
Do you believe it will be a going trend for us to see an increase yearly in the parking permit fees?
The trend has been pretty much annual, yeah. And again, that's really to avoid any large fluctuations, right? Because, yeah, we could go maybe 3 to 4 years without an increase, but that's punishing the folks in 2029, for example, with a 20% increase, unexpected out of pocket. So our strategy here is just to go, just a little over 3%, and we're below inflation, obviously. And that's so everyone can kind of just plan their pocketbooks around a 70-cent per day increase, right? Rather than an unexpected hit several years down the road. But yeah, that's kind of been the going strategy.
Yeah. I guess it's just, to me, are there any other possibilities of like areas that we can look otherwise for revenue? I just think as a commuter myself and knowing and working with a lot of commuter students, it's there's a lot of intersectional identities that belong to that community. And a lot of them was we for various reasons of why we commute. Some people commute because it's cheaper. And as we continue to increase these costs alongside, even gas prices just earlier this year were already high as I can't even talk about that. But it's just like, are there not other ways that we can think about, I don't know, even to get to a point where we can even reduce the quarterly permits would be a miracle. Yeah.
I mean, the answer is yes and no, right? I mean, again, as a self-sustaining organization, we can't take dollars from other entities, if you will, right? We specifically don't take tuition dollars. We specifically don't take state subsidies. We do it as a self-sustaining organization so that we are not beholden to, the state's in a budget crisis every 5 to 6 years, right? That's kind of the going trend. And so if we were to open ourselves up to outside dollars, there comes a possibility of strings attached, if you will, right? And then now we have to, quote unquote, punish students and say, hey, sorry, we know that we said we wouldn't raise rates, but next year is going to be 15%. And that's the last thing we want to do is those huge fluctuations that people don't plan for and don't afford. And so we're structuring it in a very predictable, very digestible manner, if you will. And so, yeah, we definitely appreciate the increased cost of commuting, right? We're all feeling it. I'm a permit holder myself, and I hate gas prices as much as the next person. But this is the way we can truly do it with no strings attached.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions from council members before we let them go? All right, seeing none, we appreciate your time and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everybody, for your time and attention tonight.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Good night, all.
Okay. So we don't have any appointments. We might have some for next time, given just some of the emails I replied to today. Um, but going forward, we'll dive right into officer reports. So let's start this off. So a couple things, we were able to host a community dinner yesterday. It was very successful. We not only encourage people to vote and also participate in elections, but we fed over, it was around 150 students and community members, which is really nice to just share space with, hear some concerns and where to address those. I've continued to attend daily check-in meetings with Vice Chancellor Student Affairs Monroe, some of the GSA representatives, and Eva as well. And Seppi, the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Development and Health. From those conversations, we've learned that with CAE, they're trying to shorten the turnaround. So it's usually about 2 weeks to receive accommodations through there. They're trying to shorten it down to a week. So if you do know anybody personally that's been affected and think CAE is the route to go through to get any like extensions or accommodations through there, definitely encourage them, especially as they're trying to get that faster turnaround time. And they have let me know since the article came out a while ago that most of us saw, they have increased their staff. So I believe they only have like 2 open positions now compared to like the 11 missing that they had prior. So it was good to hear that. And yeah, we're still getting updates about the phone confiscations and waiting to hear more about various things and departments and what we can do there. But Eve will probably have some other updates to share with those meetings as well. We also last week held a community breakfast, so we were handing out food to students, and that was successful. We did some on the Hill and some on Bruin Walk. I went to candidate debates, so that was good to hear, interesting to hear some things. And then besides that, I had my meeting with President Michael Drake to advocate for amnesty for students, academic leniency, and learn more about the outside organization that will be doing an investigation, and they are going to be reaching out to some student leaders to hear the various perspectives. So I think that'll be good. I'm trying to find out more about who they're contacting and putting some names into the hat of who they should also contact as well. And then he also asked me, which I'm like, this is not my job. But he also asked me to come up with some things about relationship rebuilding at UCLA between students and other students, students and faculty, faculty and faculty. So I guess I'm brainstorming that. If you have any ideas, send them my way. Besides that, I've been working too much on BOD allocations. And I say that because I don't get paid for BOD allocations to do that. So we've been trying to get the numbers out to people. We've been able to send the first 60 allocations. We're going to be waiting on the other, I believe it's 23 that we're still missing, and we'll be getting those tomorrow morning. But in our executive session, we'll kind of find out more about kind of what played into that delay. But yeah, I think it'll be fully finalized tomorrow. And there's just been a lot of emails back and forth with clubs and meetings with them because a lot of these events are like happening this week, especially a lot of the culture shows, some of the graduation stuff planning. People are just trying to make sure everything's set in stone to get that squared away. And last but not least, I was able to help with the transfer center and answering questions for students that came by on Saturday, despite transfer admit day getting canceled. Folks are really sad about that, but we were able to still answer some questions and help them out, give like kind of mini kind of tours. But yeah, that was really fun to do. Okay, I'll pass it on.
I promise I will have a longer officer report since next week is technically our last week as council members. I've been focusing a lot on office affairs, so making sure that my directors are getting their stipends and figuring out what to do with the rest of the budget. I've been doing a lot of things in relation to the housing relief fund, so we're in process of transferring those the $75,000 to the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, and then we'll be going over applications for those who filled out for the housing relief fund. It closed last week, so thank you to everyone who promoted it as well. I also attended the debates. There were definitely a lot of interesting things that I heard, but I'm looking forward to this Friday. I was working on an amnesty letter and I was sending that around to different schools in LA, so that'll be on the agenda for tonight. But it was really good to be in communication with some student leaders at Pomona College, CSULB, USC, etc. But yeah, that'll be on the agenda tonight as well. I am adding more things to the transition document for my successor. I have reached out to every single USAC appointment. So anyone in the Academic Senate, Communications Board, etc., BOD, to kind of keep track of who's graduating, who's not, who's returning. Thankfully, we have a lot of people who are interested in returning to make things easier for next year and for the next IVP as well. So I will be in contact with anyone who does have appointments, and then I will put in my transition document for my successor to reach out to those officers as well. I'm also working on a presentation to give to the new council on like ARC appointments, those kind of things. And I will be updating a lot of other documents just to make sure everything is kind of filled out by the end of my term. I promise I will have a longer report next week just to recap on the year, but I did really appreciate being on council with all of you, and I look forward to seeing what everyone does after this as well.
Thank you. Eva?
Hi, everyone. As Naomi touched on, we've continued the daily check-ins with our vice chancellors and assistant vice chancellors and really anyone who can hop on that I helped set up for that for us daily. I want to thank Naomi for sharing most of the updates. If you're curious for more information about anything, the notes document from all of these meetings is on my officer report as it was last week. So I encourage you to check it out. And please ask me if you have any questions, or ask me any questions that you may have. If there are questions that students are approaching you with that we haven't already asked, we'd love to ask them. So please just send that to one of us because we have these daily check-ins, as we said, every day. I think on that note, I'm hearing a lot of movements, obviously, because the UC Regents meeting is this week. We have some folks from Divest and some EVP people going up, including GSA President Noor. So I'm really happy that there's a lot of UCLA representation up there. And I'm grateful that UC Divest is able to go to the Regents meeting and really be there to advocate for amnesty and things of that nature. The Regents and UC President Drake are really opposed to amnesty. And so, Naomi, I'm curious how your meeting went with him. If you could send me an email, I think I'd greatly appreciate that. I'm hearing that he has kind of canceled and redirected his meeting with student leaders and organizers that he was supposed to have. So if anyone knows information about that, can you also just please send that to me? There's probably a USAC action that I'll ask us to do last week in our last week regarding that, because I think that's very unfortunate. That's kind of been the main thing I've been up to, in addition to some of my like regularly scheduled like UCSA and government community relations meetings. But I'll keep you all posted if anything comes up, and thanks again.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move to our gen reps. Katie? Is Katie here? Yes.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well. So my office is getting a like guidebook we're putting together. I'm not really sure if we're gonna put it in the form of slides or something, but for the next Gen Rep 1, to make the transition pretty smooth and to give them kind of a good guide as to how they can navigate the office space. And the rest of my updates will be on my written report. Thank you.
Thank you. Gabby? Oh, never mind. Wait, I thought she was okay. Jonathan.
Hello, hello. I hope you all are doing well. I don't have a whole lot of updates, so kind of just more than anything working on transitioning, making like a year-long report of kind of what my office has done, kind of supporting the efforts of other council members as well. And to like as a reminder again, like the town hall has been postponed, the Latinx town hall. Um, I'm working on transferring those funds to HSI, so I do need those account numbers from surplus. I haven't been able to do that before. I also just wanted to go on the record to kind of discuss some really concerning comments that have been made this past week. I'm not sure if you all like had heard, but the Daily Bruin released an article stating that an individual running for general representative um made comments about the encampment in a negative way, akin to take it down, shoot them all, which I think is frankly disgusting. I think the general position is ultimately, again, as we've discussed previously, supposed to represent the will of students and the support. And I think it's frankly disgusting. I think it's disgusting. I think that's the perfect word to use. Awful. I think individuals seeking to obtain some sort of office, because at the end of the day, our job here is to stand for the safety and security of our students. And I think it's our duty likewise to denounce that and denounce fascism both within council and outside of it. So I just want to be very firm that I stand against any of that. And I stand against those comments made, and sincerely hope that you all do as well, and work with me to denounce that, to denounce all of that happening, and people expressing discontent with our peers having the right to protest, and then actively having a desire to inflict harm upon them. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. You have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if anyone knows if elections board has been notified of there's two gen rep candidates who have both on the record stated really violent things towards the encampment. So one in addition to the one that Jonathan mentioned. Does anyone know if they've heard anything about it?
I'll go to Megan, then Jonathan.
E-board has been notified of one of the incidences, in which I was given a response, from the sole advisor to please report it to, like, please report it myself. But I believe that is like all I've gotten, to be honest. But if they are elected to council and they're proven, or like given consequences through the student conduct processes, they may be removed from council or not eligible to run anymore, but that is only after a like student conduct procedure has like gone through or something like that.
Okay. And Jonathan?
Oh, it wasn't necessarily like connected to that. I don't have really any updates about elections board, but more I kind of wanted to elaborate a bit further. Um, I think, and also just touching in on last week, I think last week and the discussion that was held was made as a system of accountability. Because at the end of the day, again, we're at the mercy of the student body, and as such, I think it is well within our realm as council members to hold each other accountable. And I don't 100% appreciate the imposition of a scary brown man affecting white girl belief that's been imposed on these conversations that go on in council. More than anything, it's to hold accountability. I think to present a clear image to students. And frankly, for me at least, if I'm not respected, if my community is not respected, which certain individuals in this council have done so, have disrespected me greatly, I will not hold an equal level of respect back, because I think that's a bit of a reach, because I have a firm belief on if you want respect, you earn it. And individuals in this council have not earned it, in particular by dismissing the occurrences of my community, which I've discussed, as a child of Guatemalan immigrants that went through a genocide. Um, I'm not going to elaborate further into details, but certain individuals in this council have essentially denied that, or denied certain involvement in that situation. Um, So again, I think it's rather unfair for that to be kind of imposed on, especially for me, more than anything, wanting to hold accountability, which I think is all unfair. And ultimately, again, I think us as head council, we need to remain united in those ideals that we have to denounce behavior such as this, both within council and within potential candidates. So I wanted to just elaborate on that further a bit.
Thank you for saying that. Okay, let's move forward. We have Sujana.
Hi, I first want to say that I definitely well, I really want to emphasize what Jonathan said about accountability and to say that that has been the focus of my work this past week and 2 weeks this far as well. And that on the academic side, I have been pressing further for academic leniency, wanting to publicly state that the Academic Senate has received USAC's letter in support of academic leniency and has responded saying that they are considering issuing consideration, or rather considering issuing guidance to faculty on how to proceed, and obviously desiring a stronger affirmative response than that and making that my priority moving forward. And the other very significant aspect related to academic senate is the vote of no confidence and vote to censure that is going to take place in the Legislative Assembly this Friday, which I think some people know and have been publicized on social media that it was supposed to, or it was also circulated in official channels that it was supposed to take place last Friday, but due to a filibustering and kind of time restrictions, the vote does have to take place this Friday. But as a representative to the Senate, I am able to attend the meeting, as are all other appointed academic senators, and specifically the LGA representatives, of course. And so I have certainly been working to coordinate a response with senators, of course, encouraging people to act within their own or act according to their own conscience, but really working to advocate for all students and provide those perspectives to influence that vote. And this is not pertaining to current campus events, but if you all received an email, I think yesterday, about incomplete notations and the change to that grading policy, that was that official announcement of that change that I mentioned last week. And I wanted to provide an update on the partnership with Student Legal Services to announce that there has been quite a bit of progress on that, but I don't want to announce anything because the planning is still ongoing, but we are planning on doing something to communicate or to have a discussion on the legal implications and outcomes of the events on campus, and to try to connect with undergraduates that way. So that is definitely being worked on and every day. And I will have more information about that very soon.
Thank you. And I just put into chat as well, but the change to grading basis has now been extended to the end of week 9. Small win, but I'll take it. So there's that. In addition to that, I've seen a lot of confusion just in various group meetings I'm in about the incomplete email. Incomplete notification of how it's changing policy wise. Is there by any chance your office can work on a post kind of clarifying what it means? Because a lot of people think it's just because of the encampment that this policy has changed, but we've been y'all been advocating for this since last year. So I think also just clarifying that would be great as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. Okay, Janice.
Hi, Naomi. I was just wondering how that went down, the academic leniency changing grading basis, how you heard about that, who enacted that, just so.
Oh, I just got the
have an
notice on
idea of-
my UCLA. I'm sorry.
Okay, so so that might have been out of, not because of our work, question mark.
Well, I feel me and Eva brought it up definitely in some of these meetings that we've had. It was also in the letter. So I'm gonna take it. You know, they might have not given us credit, but I'm gonna take it.
Okay, perf. Yeah, I feel like um I'm sure you guys would agree, but I feel like the recent events are like extreme enough to like warrant the like COVID times level of like leniency, you know, with even like pass no pass applying to your major or like to GE requirements, things like that. So I was just wondering who I can talk to about that, but um no worries. I agree. A win is a win. So that's good to hear. Oh, Sujana, yes.
Yeah, Sujana.
Yes, I definitely want to like provide an update to that. Like having communicated with like undergraduate council leadership a bit, who would be the ones to approve that policy. So I know that that was some of the content that those are some of the points that we mentioned in the letter, which was what I kind of, yeah, they said that they were that they reviewed and that we're considering issuing guidance on. I am not privy to kind of their internal considerations of that, but I know that they take a while to come to agreement on policy, such as this. For example, the incomplete notation approval, even after like we presented that proposal, took like 3 meetings and 6 weeks, where they discussed that. Not that this, I mean, this obviously needs to be done much quicker, but just that there are several bureaucratic steps that I am sure they will be adhering to, but I am really pressing them to move along. This Friday is an undergraduate council meeting where I'll be bringing it up as well. But unfortunately, it's kind of in their hands.
Awesome. Eva?
This is a really stupid question. But I was wondering if the staff assembly if there's any connection between the staff assembly and the academic senate. Because the staff assembly has denied our request to sign on to our letter requesting amnesty. And I'm just wondering if you happen to know anything about that, Sujana, or like who I could talk to about it.
Sujana?
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Yes. So the membership, I think, may be different because the membership of Academic Senate automatically is like are all tenure track faculty. And so, but it's just faculty because, yeah, only faculty are members. And just having looked at staff assembly, I believe it's all staff employees. So it's a broader representation, but I believe that looks like it may include faculty as well, but potentially just admin.
Okay.
Jonathan knows because Jonathan dropped something in the chat.
Oh, Jaffa was saying that Jessica would be a good person to ask, as she served as the. Jessica's lived a lot of lives, is what I'm learning every day. Okay, so there's that. Okay. Continuing on, Mason is at an event. So, oh, Chi-Ying.
Hi everyone. Also want to start off my report by saying that I was also pretty shocked at some of the comments that were made by the new candidates, and definitely any form of violence should not be tolerated. And I definitely hope that if anyone gets elected, that they will have their due process for investigating what went on and have consequences for that. As for my office, these 2 weeks we have our 2 final events before I officially step down. The end of this week we have Project Bruin, where we are bringing in a bunch of like middle school kids and kind of showing them around UCLA and just kind of introducing to them what higher education is about, encouraging them to pursue higher ed. So thank you, Laurie, also for helping with like the venue and all that. And then next week we have our Service Impact Summit, which is an event to kind of celebrate the work that service organizations at UCLA have done to uplift groups and to have workshops on how to be a better like service leader, how to organize, and all that jazz. So it's gonna be a really fun event. RSVPs are open, and we should be having a social media post out today. And lots of like cool freebies and free food to go around. So strongly encourage you guys to attend if you guys are available. The event will be on May 24th, the next Friday. And then we also finished grading for Robert S. Michael's scholarship award, and those will be presented at the summit. So also thank you to the folks who were sitting on that committee to help to grade the applications. And finally, I finished my transition for my successor and kind of ready to go. So that's always fun. So hope you guys have a good rest of your week.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to Alicia.
Yes, hello. Let me start off by saying that what I saw in that Daily Bruin article was very unsurprising because to her desire, we were shot at. No one died, but they attacked us with the intention of killing. And so I want to just say on record, that this is to be taken seriously, and to those meeting with our vice chancellors, please bring this up, so that the investigation is expedited in student affairs if possible. Yeah, just very jarring to go to a university with people who want those things for other students and other people on our campus. Very jarring that anyone has that desire. That's just very unbelievable. But it's UCLA, so what can you expect? Second, to that, I wanted to shed light on the statement I released yesterday, due to everything happening in the world right now, and how it has affected us. We specifically who have a direct connection to the occupation of Palestine. CAC will not be hosting any more events. And I have made that clear last council meeting, but I just want to re-emphasize it one more time because I confirmed my cancellations. And yeah, I just wanted to say that I will be looking into freezing my budget our next and last meeting. And I want to encourage everyone to look into the action items that I listed on my statement, on our collective statement. Right now there's a popular university for the liberation of Palestine every day. And I want to recommend everyone to visit. It's incredibly educational, incredibly just like amazing and healing, most of all, because on campus there is still a police presence. I've heard many students talk about how CSC and like the cops on campus have been interrogating students on where they're going, on if they have their Bruin cards, like what they're doing on campus. And I want to bring this to council, because that is incredibly it's just not okay and discriminatory. I feel like they are racially profiling people who are just going on their campus. And it is completely unacceptable, and I don't understand what this going back to normal quote unquote is from Gene Block's administration, and why it looks like this, and why it looks like so like there are no events going on. CSC needs to leave, like respectfully. Like they literally don't care. They literally laugh when people are getting maced and attacked. So I don't know what their purpose is here. That's another thing to bring up to the chancellors. And then Eva, if you could let me into any of those meetings, let me know. I can also shoot an email to Monroe asking if I could have a seat there. And then yeah, last but not least, um I believe we are still working on a few allocations before we wrap out the year. I met with Jack as well from SGS to change the bylaw that I want to change. And I like got to get more clarification on like how our bylaws are connected to UCOP like guidelines. And so there will be some stuff edited. I can just say right now it will be refocused to be about the USAC endowment. USAC hasn't put any money into this endowment in like 4 years. So I'm gonna change the bylaw to say that until the University of California divests, we will not be putting any money into the endowment. Because that endowment, um, we can control where that endowment goes and like so that it doesn't invest. And then just some other guidelines that will be modeled after TGIF's guidelines that encourage certain vendors and stuff. So that we can shape that in our bylaw to say like we encourage and we discourage Zionist vendors or Zionist affiliated or anything that funds the occupation of Palestine, anything that funds the terror in Congo, civil war in Sudan, etc. And yeah, that is pretty much what I'm doing. I also shifted some funds around to make sure all my directors got stipends, and that is it for me.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to Nalaya.
Hi everyone. So I do have a mostly written report, just a few notes. So on May 19th, which is this Sunday, STC for All will have space at the UCLA booth at the Pico Street Fair, which is located near the intersection of Overland Avenue and West Pico Boulevard. It'll be a good like event with a lot of like local food, activities, opportunities to learn about like local government and nonprofit organizations. It's from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if anyone has time or knows people that would be interested, please forward that information to them. I've got volunteering information and information about the street fair in my officer report linked. May is Bike Month, and so a lot of the events due to campus climate recently have been canceled or moved online, but mobile bike repair is still up and running and offering free bike tune-ups for students and staff. I've got those dates and times in my officer report as well, but there are some this Thursday from 11 to 3 and Wednesday, May 29th and Friday, May 31st. So definitely check those out if you're a bike user. One last note that I kind of wanted to make is I understand and resonate with a lot of folks' feelings about like how this is just not normal and it doesn't feel normal and it shouldn't feel normal. I think it's really, really hard to return to normal. I also want to remind everyone that advocacy in whatever roles and leadership in whatever roles you hold can be really, really tiring and exhausting. And while it's important to cancel events to make space for people who are healing and extend that grace, I do think it's also very important to hold some events because they often serve as healing spaces for communities of color, for marginalized communities. It's impossible to run on no fuel whenever you are in roles like this, and those little moments of celebration, of joy, of understanding and healing, I think are very important to keep people going. So I would really encourage y'all to reach out to your communities and see what you can do for them in terms of healing now as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm pulling up the agenda again. Okay, let's go to Sarah.
Hi everyone. I'm wishing well wishes on to everyone here. Just some office updates from myself. We have been working with 580 Cafe for the food distribution, so we're having a town hall on Friday with the families at 580 to see like how we can like most help with our allotted amount. We've been dealing with some SGA issues from like student orgs who have reached out to us regarding SGA problems. We've had like we had an FSC meeting this year to brainstorm how we want to finish the year. And then also we I've also done like met with various student orgs to tell them more about funding and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Let's see, moving forward, let's go to Janice.
Hi everyone. Mostly written today, but I want to express my support and solidarity for folks that are speaking out against some of the candidates running in the election right now that are saying such inappropriate, offensive, and harmful, hurtful things. It's just kind of crazy. Otherwise, SRUC is also just kind of slowing down our programming right now, but keeping up with things that would be like supportive to the student body. So we have free massages still in Kirchhoff Grand Salon every Monday through the end of the year. We're working with CAPS right now on getting that Live Health online program hopefully out by the end of week 7 now, maybe probably like end of week 8, maybe even as soon as the beginning of next week. And we are going to target and reach out to any like communities of color, student organizers, anyone who has been like particularly harmed in these times. Let me know if your community needs free therapy sessions and I will hook you up. But yeah, everything else is written and we are also just rounding out the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan H.
Alrighty, I apologize for any background noise. I'm finally in my car and driving, but I am not using my phone. So for updates, Transfer Bruin Day was postponed this Friday, so I will be speaking there on a few different panels and during the university welcome. I'm also hosting a mental health check-in event this Thursday with a counselor from CAP. We also launched the graduation pictures opportunity based on conversations with the transfer community on if this is something they wanted to do, and the consensus is yes. Pretty much we completely booked 5 days of appointments in around 5 hours, which is pretty impressive. So we're looking to actually book another day, hopefully much later in the academic year, possibly even in the summer. That's a little bit about what the office has been up to. We're also working on getting our interns official like certificates for completing the internship, and we also are having like professional clothing outside in various locations. So the apartments, the dorms, we have in the career center, the transfer student center, and a few other places in case people need professional clothes. So that's a little bit about what the office has been up to, and I also just want to make sure that everyone knows I echo what everyone said regarding the Daily Bruin article. The recording was absolutely disgusting to listen to, and I've already had conversations with folks about it in leadership. So apologies for a bit of like quicker updates, just driving, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Adam.
Hey everyone. So my updates for the most part are gonna be written today. Just one quick brief update. I'm starting a small coalition of Middle Eastern clubs inspired by Jonathan's Latin caucus. So if anyone's interested in getting details on that or helping in any way, please reach out. And besides that, I just wanted to comment on the Daily Bruin stuff as well. I wanted to echo some of the sentiments of some other council members. I think it's frankly very disgusting, the things that were said, and that there's someone like that that's running for a public office to serve the student body. I just think it's something that ourselves and the students should consider and think about when representing our students. Yeah.
Thank you. Now we'll go to administrative representatives. Orlando?
No Orlando.
No Orlando?
What are you gonna do
And
now?
Jen- Oh, damn. Okay. Go ahead, Lori, I guess.
Yay. Not really anything, just I'm definitely feeling for all of you students on the campus climate. My job has turned into cancellation mush, and it's very, very sad to me that we can't celebrate like we usually do at the end of the quarter. And you guys talking about your transition documents is making me sad. So that's all I have to say.
Gotcha. Then we'll go to Jonathan.
Hey, hi, hello, folks. Hope week 7 is treating you well. I do have a couple things for you all this week. First being those transition docs. So I want to give a special shout out and care and appreciation and joy to both the Megans, Alicia and Chia Ying, for being the 4 of you all who have submitted your transition documents. That makes me really happy. If you're not one of those 4 people, I'd love to be happier. And you will be hearing from me often in this case. These, because of everything's been going on, if we could just get them by Tuesday, which is your last meeting, that would be very appreciated. I know there's a lot going on, but I also know that your incoming folks will greatly appreciate it. What's next? Speaking of transition, I also have the transition calendar that's ready and has been adjusted. The reason I bring it up here is just for you all, and I'll send these dates in the Slack. But by May 29th, you all will need to be out of your office space. And by May 29th, you will also need to have handed over your social media accounts to the new person who was elected, who's replacing you. So the new folks will be given access on that 29th date. So the last day of your access is that 28th date. And then May 31st is going to be the last date for you all to stay in your official USAC emails. Unless there is something financial that is outstanding, let us know and we can work on that. But otherwise, those official emails will at least need to have dual access with you and the new by that 31st date. Beyond that, I don't know if you all remember a while back, we came into council and you all picked up your little mailbox keys from me for those 3rd floor Kirkhoff mailboxes. I hope you know where they are because we need them back. So please feel free to stop by the student union info window at any time and drop them off. You can just tell the building managers that they're for me and they'll know what to do with it. But please, we spent a lot of money rekeying them this year, so we don't want to have to Yeah, that's right, Naomi. We don't want to have to pay for some more keys. So thank you for that. And then, I just want to also highly encourage you all to submit your recs now. Anything you have outstanding, anything going on this weekend, please submit as soon as possible. I know that you all are going to want to dip if you're dipping at the end of this term, you're graduating, whatever's going on. So get that paperwork and stuff squared away before you leave. I promise you'll thank yourself for it later, and it will make it easier on everyone involved. And then my last thing is would really, really, really appreciate your support in advertising BOD appointments for next year. The incoming council is going to have a 1 week turnaround from their first meeting to their second meeting before they have to appoint both of those people. So it's a really, it's a tall task. So really, truly, your assistance here is going to be really key in getting them some applications that they can review just straight away, and hopefully have those in place before that June 4th deadline. Anything else, you let me know, and have a great week.
Thank you. It's the way I got like mail one time. Um, yeah, I'll reach out to our current BOD members to see if they have the bandwidth to assist in the recruitment process because I know folks are busy at the moment. But yeah, we'll try and help out the best we can in that way. All right. Now let's go ahead and get started with old business, which is some of these bylaw changes. Megan.
Hello. Let me go to the agenda. We went over these last week, but we will be voting on these three, and then there's another bylaw change that's in new business as well, but that'll be voted on next week, per the 1 week necessary to be on the agenda before we vote on it. This is CBAC. If you don't remember, it's just adding Campus Bike Advocacy Committee to the bylaws, to facilities commissioners appointments. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, I would like to motion to vote on the CBAC bylaw change.
Second.
Megan motions the last seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12-0 vote, that is approved. Oh, Jonathan.
Yeah, just for the sake of the minutes, Megan, the motion was you motioned to vote on it. So you all just approved that you will vote on it. That wasn't the actual vote on the bylaw change. So move to approve. Yes, thank you.
Okay, do we need to do another revote then?
Yes,
As
please.
Megan, I clarified that it says I to approve.
I would like to clarify that I meant motion to approve the CBAC bylaw change.
Thanks, babe. Okay. Alicia?
I second.
Oh, okay, cool. We'll do vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. Dang, now we got less people. 10-0. That is approved. All right, now we will move to Janice with the SWC committee bylaw change.
Low key.
I can do this one.
Megan, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. She kind of I identified that there needed to be a bylaw change, but Megan helped me navigate the process, so I don't really know what I'm supposed to do right now. I guess
Basically,
I
it's a
can
bylaw
second.
change. If anyone has any questions on it, it's just removing a committee that no longer exists on eating.
Yeah, like super simple. It's just like a appointment that definitely doesn't exist because the committee doesn't exist, and myself and recent past commissioners are like, we don't know what this is.
All right, I motion to approve of this SWC committee bylaw change.
I second.
Wait, who said I second? I'm so sorry.
That was me, Janice.
Okay, cool. Megan motion, Janice seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. For 11 to 0 vote, that is approved. And now we'll go to the next one. Back to Megan.
This is adding an appointment. In the bylaws, it reflects that there's SWC only has one, but they have two, so just updating it to reflect on what we have now. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Okay, I move to approve the shack bylaw change.
Second.
Megan motions, the last seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 10 to 0 vote, that is approved as well. Okay. Now let's move forward to new business. I'm passing it back to Megan. Okay, go ahead.
Hello again. Basically, it's in the agenda. It was added to the agenda on Friday. It's basically a letter that me and Eva wrote to that we're going to be sending to the city attorney, the city attorney's office, to kind of advocate for amnesty for students. It's very similar to the letter that was voted on last week as well. And I did reach out to other schools in Southern California, just because, like, any colleges that are within the county. So if they would like to, if you know anyone in the county who would also like to sign on, please do send that to them, and they can reach out to me as well. So far I've gotten USC's Undergraduate Student Association or Undergrad Student Government to sign on, their GSA, and then Pomona actually signed on as well. Alicia?
Just want to thank you. And I was wondering if I could just motion now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I move to approve the USAC sign-on to the UCLA, USC, and Pomona College citywide amnesty letter.
Second.
Second.
Oh.
Alicia motions to John a seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 9 to 0 vote, that is approved. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Now let's move to new business as well. We have Megan again for this bylaw change.
Sorry guys. I may have other bylaw changes next week too, that I'll make the next IVP do as well. It's basically a bylaw change so that, okay, right now in the bylaws it's kind of unclear. It basically says like the facilities commissioner can be like chair of TJF, but we're just making it so that like they don't really have to be chair of TJF, or like clarifying that they don't really have to be the chair if they don't want to. But it just clarifies that they can be like vice chair or committee member, just because they're two separate roles and it's a lot to handle from what I've heard from the three facilities commissioners I know.
Yes.
Yes. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
No, it's okay. If there are no questions, we will be voting on this next week. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay, executive session. If I remember correctly, we have to vote to go into executive session.
Correct.
All right, can I get a motion to enter executive session?
I motion to enter executive session, and then I can turn off the live.
Megan motions.
A second.
The last seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 9 to 0 vote, that is approved. Thank you. Okay, now let's move to new business as well. We have Megan again for this bylaw change. Megan motions. The last seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. All right, with a 9 to 0 vote, we can now enter its